Hey, I'm Guy.
I'm John.
It's our YouTube channel. We're glad you're here. Subscribe to this channel, and if you enjoy the video, give it a like.
Also, check out the podcast below in the description.
We're sponsored by Indeed.com/ham.
Start hiring right now. $75 job credit at Indeed.com/ham. He got a lot of credit last week, which he deserved, the grit and the toughness. I rewatched that game several times this week, at least the second half. And it was impressive by Jimmy, just his mettle. But I don't think anyone questions like Jimmy being a tough guy, Jimmy being a foxhole guy.
I mean, he's been kind of questioned before, right?
Okay, but
the notepad last year at the Cardinal game.
Okay, it's fair. Okay, that's fair. But so he proved some of that. But he made some great throws in that game. Today felt a little bit more of the Jimmy that I remember before everyone started jerking him off the last week, because it was kind of holding on for dear life. The pick, like Dak's pick was bad. Jimmy's pick was 7 times as bad. Like Dak's pick was bad. That's a bad NFL pick. Jimmy's pick is like something you would watch if you were watching some like backup at UC Davis. It's like, how? It's 23-7 in the fourth fucking quarter of a playoff game on the road, guy. To me, it's the timing of this.
Second
stuff.
and 10 in your own territory too. Just out of bounds. He one thing with Garoppolo, he did it today in a big spot, and Romo said good throw. But Jimmy does not really throw the ball away that much.
It's not his game. He's a gunslinger, but his ball, he has. If you're like a golfer and you just have like a go-to slice, and you just play with the guy, it's like he's just gonna have the slice, and sometimes maybe it's a little better than others. Like you can tell early on, like, oh, Jimmy's a little high today, and you could see a couple times it was just like,
early he was on point. Early in the game, he was on point.
Well, but it was in the flow of the run game too.
Yeah.
Like when it gets to a point, as it kind of did, where it's like, okay, it's like 2nd and 10, you're just going to throw for the next 2 downs, clearly, and the momentum is kind of going against Jimmy. That's where it's like, oh my God, Jimmy, do not throw it high, do not throw it high. And the other thing, when he throws it high, sometimes it gets tipped, and then it just goes right up into the air, and then people play fucking hacky sack with it. He could have. I mean, there were a couple moments. The one where the guy, like the outside linebacker, maybe was the safety, made a great play, and luckily he just like hit the ground and was discombobulated. That could have been a pick. They kind of won that game, I thought, especially in the second half, in spite of Jimmy. And I'm not acting like he was just a total scrub, but this was not last week. Like he could not have taken him on a drive, I felt like, the way he was going. And part of that was the Cowboys were getting pressure and.
Yeah, I disagree a little, because you know what I always say about Jimmy. I just think it's the same every week. I think it's the same. Some days it's 64%, some days it's 58%, some days it's 72%.
But our guy Schefter said he's back though.
Yeah. Last week he got some of his value back. I think it's the same every week, and I will say this, and I mean this sincerely. One of the things I respect about Garoppolo, he is a roller coaster for us. I don't think he feels it, which is part of what's dangerous about him, right? Like, I don't think when he throws a pick, the next time out, he's gun shy or hesitant. I don't think it affects him in that way, and I give him credit for that. But I think it scares Kyle, and I think it scares everybody else watching it. But there are times where he made some aggressive good throws, multiple 3rd down throws to Juwan Jennings, the first big 3rd down conversion that Juwan Jennings had.
I'm not saying he can't make good. I'm not saying he can't make good throws.
I absolutely. I know you're not. The throw he made to Jennings, though, outside the numbers, was a rare Garoppolo throw, right? That 3rd and 11, where he hit Jennings outside, like way outside at the stick. The ball had a little hump on it, but it was a really good throw. But then, yeah, there's other balls that just terrify you, and I think it is. He just reminds you often that you are not in control of life. Like, that's the reminder, I think. Is just some guys are so in control. You know, late in the Bucs game where there was a discussion going on, like, you got to get Brady out of there. You got to get the starters out of there. The one thing that was clear with them, Brady was not going to take a hit. You know what I mean? Like they were getting the ball out. Tom knew what he was doing. Tom wasn't going to get hurt because Tom wasn't taking hits. Like they were fully in control.
And he'll crumble the moment things get weird in the pocket, right? He'll just hit the ground. Like he's not going to throw a bad pick.
Yes, I don't think Jimmy. I give because I had a buddy of mine text me. He's like, Jimmy's asshole's got to be so tight right now. I was like, I don't think it is. I don't think Jimmy gets like that.
No, I agree. We're in agreement there.
He just sometimes he's a roller coaster, and everyone except him feels it. And I think that's a good thing for the Niners. But that interception was one of the worst, and it
would have been a major reason they lost the game. I mean, the game was even I think
it would have been the number one reason they lost.
Was it Tracy who was like, they're really screaming to get a turnover here? Like they knew their only chance was to get a turnover. It was 23-7. They were bleeding some clock. You start doing the math. You're like, well, that's two touchdowns and two pointers. Like you're in the driver's seat. Like you just keep punting, make them drive. They're struggling to move the ball, and then you hand them the ball right back. Hand them the ball. That's the other thing. Jimmy's either his picks are the ones where they tip it up in the air or they hit the guy in his stomach because the ball floats on him. And part of the reason they're able to circumvent this the second half of the year, and this is where, like, listen, if I was another team, I would not trade anything of value for Jimmy. He has benefited a lot.
What does that mean?
I mean, a 7th round pick or something and do a little restructure.
Yeah, like to me, I would trade to me a 4th seems, if you're Washington football team or something, you can't get.
But to me, Kyle Guy has circumvented so much of Jimmy, and he deserves credit on this. And part of it, he just is lucky to have this one of the best players in the league on their team of just moving 19 in the backfield. They basically now have clearly number 25, Elijah Mitchell, who is a stud, had 27 for 96. And I know the yards per attempt isn't great, but he was running his ass off. That it's you need a couple backs, and they don't have a second back. Well, they do because it's fucking Deebo Samuel. And they've just added Deebo, and Deebo, like to me, Elijah's a true running back. Deebo is busting these enormous, explosive plays. It's almost like Jimmy is getting kind of the Ryan Tannehill with Derrick Henry treatment. Like they're able to keep his pass attempts down. Obviously today they were in the lead. But to me, Kyle is able to just use his run game with Samuel to avoid Jimmy killing them. Like, we'll get into the backer game moving forward, but like it's the reason it's going to be so hard for them to keep just rattle off 2 straight wins against the Super Bowl because you're just not going to be up 13-0 in every game. Like you're going to fall behind 10-0, and even that they were able to get so lucky last week because fucking Stafford turned it over because Jimmy was turning it over then too. It's just you're right. Maybe he just really hasn't been any different at all. Ever. He's been the same guy for years.
Yeah, it's why you knew something bad could happen is because it's the same every game. Sometimes it doesn't happen, but it's never like a game with – sometimes there's games with no picks, but there's never games without tip balls over the middle or throws that could have been picked off or –
No.
Well,
there was a play today. I couldn't tell. Was it a throwback to Elijah Mitchell or did he just choose to throw it back to him?
I think it was supposed to be like a misdirection screen, and – I think maybe he was trying to throw it at his feet, and I don't know. Yeah, it was bad.
See, to me, he was not trying to throw it.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't. The defender was there, and he tried to like sidearm it. I think
that
maybe
to
the
me,
second he threw it, he regretted
that's a play when you're an 8-9 year vet. It's so easy. Just throw it at the motherfucker's feet. He throws it right to him, and he gets tackled. It's like a 10-yard loss. It was 2nd and 4, and then all of a sudden it's like 3rd and 15. It's like, Jimmy, what are you doing? It's stuff like that I think is equal. Obviously the picks, but Dak Prescott guys throw picks, even though not ideally in the 4th quarter of games you got a 2-score lead. But it's plays like that. It's like, Jimmy, what are you doing?
I know
that
was the play
to me
that
was
Romo
one of the head
drew
scratchers.
Romo drew up. Kittle's wide open, but I doubt on that play Jimmy's even looking down the field.
Yeah, I don't put that one on. Kittle's way over there. Jimmy's scrambling out here to the left.
Yeah, that one was actually they ended up with a field goal on that play somehow because it was one of the 2 big 3rd and long catches that Juszczyk made and like fought for extra yards and then they were able to get a field goal out of it. I mean, it turned out taking the points early was, the right decision multiple times. There was one I thought he could have gone for it on 4th down, but he kicked the field goals. Robbie Gould was good. But anyway, back
give him
to
his
Jimmy.
flowers. Give him his flowers. Robbie was nails today.
Garoppolo was 16 of 25 for 172. No touchdowns and a pick. I had a comment here from somebody. Here we go. This is from Arium44. Next week versus Green Bay, 40 runs, 8 passes.